guys, welcome to episode 14 of the Zazu podcast. My name is Caroline. You can find me on Ravelry as Woolbox, on Instagram as wool_box, and you can find my Etsy shop at zazuyarns.etsy.com. Well, as you might see, I have a little bit of a different background. Just because I thought I'd try something else. I think over here the lighting is a little bit better than on the other side of the table. So I'm just going to try this and see what you guys think. So please let me know what you think. I hope you all had a really nice week. I hope it's not too cold where you are. I don't know if there are people who are getting into spring instead of fall, which is always great. At least for those people, that's great. I do love the seasons, but I do already notice that it's getting a little bit too chilly over here. So it's time for big and thick sweaters. So I think I might have to get myself some worsted weight yarn or even bigger and knit some really big cardigans or sweaters. I don't know, but I have to do that. Last weekend, I already told you last week that we went house hunting. We are actually already house hunting for, well, at least 6 to 7 months, and it's not really working the way we planned, as is obvious because we are still in our tiny apartment. So we hired a well, I think it's a broker or no, a real estate, I don't know how you say that in English, but someone you can hire, like you hire a broker to sell your house. You can also hire someone to buy a house for you, or at least with you, which always helps because those people know that certain houses will be coming up for sale before they're on the market. So you're always, well, 1 or 2 steps ahead of other people, which is something that's really necessary in this city because every time we check for new houses, there are always some houses new on the market that are already sold. So they just sell within a day, or they're already sold when the photos come on the websites, which is a little bit frustrating, and I think there are probably a lot of you guys who have the same problems as well, because, well, when you're in a big city, it's a little bit harder than in other places, I guess. But we're meeting with her this afternoon, so hopefully she will, I don't know, I just hope she can help us because I'm getting a little bit tired of looking at houses and getting all excited and then being disappointed because the house is sold to someone else. So I just really hope she can help us and that we'll find something soon, because we were actually planning to be spending Christmas in our new house, but there's no new house, so that's a little bit disappointing. And also my 30th birthday, which will be on November 5th, which is within a month, we were also planning to be celebrating that in a new house where we had enough room to invite, well, all of our friends and family, which is not possible right now. So we are having a small dinner party in our tiny apartment instead. But, well, you can imagine it's time that we find something, and that we are the ones buying it and not some other people. But due to that, we had a whole weekend of cleaning out our tiny apartment. Seep, who is my boyfriend, said, well, if we are going to stay here for at least another 3 or 4 months, then just let's rent I don't know how you say that, a box. You can rent those boxes where you can store your stuff. A storage box, yes. Let's rent one of those and just get all the things out of our apartment that we won't need in the at least upcoming 6 or 7 months. So all the summer stuff has gone out, and books and, well, stuff like that. So we will have a little bit more breathing space in the upcoming months. And then, of course, the idea is that before we need all that stuff again, we will be in a new house. So fingers crossed that we'll get there. But that's also the reason that I actually had room to sit here, because normally all of my yarn is actually behind the seat where I'm sitting right now, but we had some extra space right now to store that properly. So that's the very long intro of this episode. Other than that, I have been knitting this past week. We have been quite busy with the boxes and going to the storage place, but I did manage to get some more me time in and knit. So let's dive into my whips. The first whip I want to talk to you about is the Featherweight cardigan. And I actually divided for the sleeves already, or, well, I don't know if that's not, I don't know. But this is how far I am. It's a little bit weird here, so I'll try to hold that up. So this is where I am. As you can see, I divided for the sleeves and put the stitches for the sleeves on some some spare scrap yarn, and I did a tiny bit on the body, so you can see that right there. Oops. And this is the back. And I'm knitting this out of some Malabrigo lace. It's a little bit flat right now. You can see I've already used quite a bit from this skein. And it's a purple gray colorway. There's no better way to describe it than that. So it's, in some lights it shows up almost black or really dark gray, and when the sun is shining on it, it's more purple. So that's what it is. And the colorway is Pearl 10. And this is the label. And I know you guys see this mirrored, and I already tried again to flip this the other way around. But I just don't seem to be capable of doing that. Or at least my computer isn't, or my camera isn't, I don't know. Although I do know that there must be some way to fix that. So if you know that, I got a really nice tip from Tiny Paper Foxes, who is Jenny. Um, she has a really nice podcast. It's my new, I don't know, it's my new discovery, I guess, podcast-wise. So if you haven't seen that yet, go to her channel. Her channel is Tiny Paper Foxes, and she has like 4 episodes out, and it's really nice. She also sews and she knits, and she has a really nice husband that knows everything about photography. So I might have to go back to her and her husband to check up on this. But she had a tip to change a setting in Photo Booth, which I tried, and which unfortunately didn't work out. It's the flip new items automatically, or mirror them automatically. I don't know how it's translated exactly in the program, but it's not working. So thank you for that tip, though. But well, I'll have to check something else, and maybe you guys know another way to use my webcam with a MacBook, because I'm using my camera, my how do you say that? My webcam with Photo Booth, and maybe Photo Booth isn't the, well, program with the most options. I don't know. So if you know anything about that, please let me know in the episode thread in our Ravelry group, which is the Zazu podcast Ravelry group. So enough about that. The colorway is Pearl 10, and the code is 069. It's a really nice yarn. I do, however, am a little bit concerned that it will felt, because it's a single, but we'll just have to see. I don't know if there are people that already knit a cardigan or a sweater with Malabrigo lace. If you did, please let me know. And this is a little bit up close what it looks like, all knitted up. And another thing about the project, these knitting it on Knit Pro Nova needles, and I guess these are a 3mm, but I'm not sure. I will have to check that and update my Ravelry page, but this is the ones. So that's that. I will show you what it will look like eventually. This is what it will look like eventually. Although I am planning on making a few modifications, I would like to have a little longer sleeves and make the cardigan a little bit longer, because I'm a pretty tall person. I'm 1 meter and 80 centimeters, and I don't know what that is in foot, because you guys use foot. I don't know that, but I don't know, maybe a converter knows. And this is a really nice book with different patterns from the same designer, who is Hannah Fettig. You can see that right there. So hopefully I will have some time next week to work on that. Then the second whip I'm working on are the Meristem Mittens by Maria Monska. And I think, well, it's not really a hoe, but I am at least halfway, so I'm calling it a hoe. This is the first mitten, and I still have these thumb stitches on a, well, a marker or a, I don't know how you call this. So the rest of the mitten is finished, and the second one I'm almost done with the thumb gusset. So I'm almost there, I guess. And you can see that in the back. Between the markers are the thumb stitches. And I will show you how that looks on my hand. And obviously it's a little bit weird with my thumb sticking out, but oops. This is what it looks like. And obviously it's a mitten that's more appropriate for like the beginning of fall instead of midwinter, because it will be too cold midwinter, depending obviously on where you are. But where I live, it will be freezing outside, so when I ride my bike, I will need something a little bit thicker to prevent the wind blowing through the fabric. But I really like the pattern. I think it's a really cute mitten, and I like the way the yarn is knitting up as well, so really like that. The yarn I'm knitting it out of is my own hand-dyed yarn, Zazu yarns, in the Fox in the Woods colorway, and I will show you what that looks like because I have some loose skeins. That is the color. It's a little bit washed out. The greenish bluish is a little bit washed out on the screen, but check it in my Etsy shop and you will see the right color. It's a speckled yarn. It's a well, I think it's a lovely green with brown speckles and a flash of a brownish orangey reddy splash. I don't know. You can see it. A foxy color. And I'm knitting them on my Knit Pro wooden needles. They are called, my brain lost it. I don't know. But they are wooden, and they are, I think it was 3.5mm needles, this size, or 3mm. I don't know, because last week you could still see it, and now you can't see it anymore. So I knit a little bit too hard on these mittens to still see it, but that's what knitting does, people. So these are coming along, and literally I made this progress in just one afternoon. These guys are so fast and so nice to work on. I think the repeat of lace is making you just want to continue and go. So if you are looking for a mitten pattern which is appropriate for the fall weather, and you want it to be done really fast, then I would suggest buy this pattern and knit it, because I think it's a really nice pattern. And I don't know, I'm really happy with it, and I hope I will finish this soon, because I actually need these guys on my bike in the morning, because it's just way too cold. It's just way too cold. So that's the Meristem mittens, and I will check if I can show you what those guys will look like when they're finished. Yes. This is the pattern, and that's what they will approximately look like when they're finished. And I do think my holes are a little bit bigger, and I don't know why that is, but I still love it. Maybe I will ask Maria if she can see what I'm doing different, or okay, let's call it what it is, what I'm doing wrong. But still, I like them, so it's not bothering me too much. And sorry for that rustling. Then my succulent shawl. And I have to say up front, you guys, I'm really sorry. I really wanted it to be finished today. I really worked hard on it, but the way I am, obviously I made a mistake in the last part and had to tink back all the way. And because the shawl is pretty big right now, the tinking back took me over an hour, because tinking back knit, well, no, not knit 3 together, but a decrease of 3 where you knit 2 together and slip a pass a slip stitch over is not really, well, it's not that simple, because you drop stitches, well, at least I drop stitches pretty fast. So I am binding off, but also that will, I think it will take me a little longer than I anticipated. So I'm going to have to show you it with only the binding off to do on my needles, which I think is a shame, but I couldn't do it any way else. So this is it. It's actually almost finished. This is the first part of the binding off. Maybe you can see it like that. So I have 3 picots, and obviously I have to do the rest. But maybe you can see a little better what this will look like. This is 1/2, and then just try to imagine the other half on the other side. That's all I can try to tell you. As you can see, it's really lacy and it's really drapey. Obviously I still have to block it, so there's no other option than that it will be way bigger than this even. So I really hope I will be able to finish this really, really soon, because as I said, it's getting colder and colder here, and I need some warm thing to put around my neck and cozy up with. So obviously I showed it a little bit flipped. This is actually what it would look like, and then, you know, you can see it. This is the middle, so it's actually quite big, and it's not even blocked. And that's the police in Utrecht. Hopefully, oh well, I wanted to say hopefully nothing bad happened, but I hear a lot of sirens right now, so I don't know if that's whatever. So that's that. I do really hope, well, no, I don't only hope it, I am, okay, and this is really dangerous, I understand that, but I am going to promise you that next week this thing will be off the needles and blocked and ready to show you guys. Because I don't know why, but I'm kind of feeling, I don't know, I think it's taking me so long, and I feel like I have to apologize to you guys because this was supposed to be a test knit, and I already apologized to Maria. This was supposed to be a test knit that should have been done at the beginning of September. And it's now mid-October. And it's still not done. And I do have to say that it was a little bit more difficult than I thought it would be. It just has a lot of different parts, and I don't know why this happens, but I just knit and don't pay attention, and then my stitch count is off, which is not a big deal when you're in the plain sections, so to speak. But in the lace sections, I had problems with my stitch count, and so I had to go back quite a few times, just because I'm not paying attention enough. And I don't know. I think I'm doing the right thing, and then I'm in some sort of flow, and then I think, okay, I can put on a nice podcast to watch with this. And then, I don't know, my attention gets a little bit too all over the place, I don't know, and then I just make a mistake. And always find out about that rows later when my stitch count is off, and then I have to like put it on the table and count everything and really check the whole shawl, and to see that rows back I made a big mistake. And there's some other sirens, but I'm at the bind off. I am not going to jinx it, or at least I don't want to jinx it, but what could go wrong here, except for losing a lot of stitches because I don't store it right or whatever, I don't know. So this is going to be finished, you guys. It has to. So I'm not even going to put it back in its in the project bag, because it has to be on the table reminding me every day, finish it. So that said, I need a sip of my tea. I'm drinking licorice tea, which is my favorite, and it's nice and warm with this weather. Well, other than that, I don't have any whips. Well, you know me, I do have whips, but not whips that I'm actually working on, because the other things I was working on were socks, and the second sock syndrome has kicked in bad. So I'm just going to let them sit for a while and do other stuff I do like to knit, because that's actually what knitting is about, right? That you also really like doing what you do. So I'm going to leave them for a while and see what I'll do with them. So you'll see about that hopefully later in some of the episodes. I can't promise you anything about that. Then stash enhancement. I don't have any stash enhancements, but cleaning up the house was a pretty good thing to remind me of some yarns I just forgot about. A while ago, there was this drops sale, and I bought a lot of drops alpaca silk yarn. I never really knit with mohair, and since that's pretty expensive, I thought, let's just first try with this because it's a brushed yarn, and it kind of looks like a little like mohair. You also knit it with bigger needles. So I bought a few colors. I bought this one, which is a gray, and I can show you what it kind of looks like in the separate threads. If it wants to focus, yes. You can see that it's pretty hairy yarn. So I think the main thread, the white thread you can see in there, is the silk, and the fluffiness comes from the alpaca. I don't know exactly, because I already sorted again, how many balls of this I got, but at least 4, I guess. And it's, let's see, I'm trying to, oh, and the color is color 3, just so you know. At least 4 of these, I guess, 4 or 5, I'm not sure. Then I bought this one, this vibrant pinkish, well, a little bit purplish pink. I don't know how you say that. And this is color 9. And I also have the same amount of balls of this color, approximately. Then I bought a sweater quantity of this color. It's a purple. It's a little bit more blue on your screen. Hello? Yes, focus. It's a little bit more purple on your screen, I guess. Or a little bit more blue. It's a little bit more warm in real life. And this colorway is color 10. And I think I bought at least 12 of these because it's a, what was it? I thought it was 25 grams. Yes, it's 25 grams and 140 meters. Although you do use a pretty big needle. It says to use needle 5, which is a US 8. And I also have the pattern for this, which I obviously didn't bring to show you guys, so I hope I will remember to do that next week. But I tried knitting with this already, with the other 2 colors, with these 2, to make a shawl. And I didn't really like knitting with it because, as I already said, I make mistakes. And you can't really rip out your mistakes that well with this yarn because it's kind of hooking. I don't know how you say that. It clings onto each other. So when you want to rip, it's, I don't know, the fur is making friends with the fur from the other threads, and then you get this really big fur orgy or something like that. I don't know, but it's pretty hard to rip it out. So the only way I'm going to do this is not make mistakes. Knit the sweater without mistakes. And I don't know. Will I manage to do that? We'll have to see. But I really did like the sweater, and I don't really know if this would make a really warm sweater. I just don't know. So I don't know if any of you already knit a sweater with this stuff, but if you did, please let me know if it's warm, because I need a warm sweater. So, and if it's not warm enough, I will wait with knitting that until, well, March or something like that, when it's getting a little bit warmer again. I don't know. We'll just have to see. But at least I have something around to knit a sweater with. So, and obviously I'm not telling Steve that I found all this yarn, because he was like, okay, we're also packing some boxes with your absolutely ginormous stash of yarn. So obviously I did that, but I only put in some what do you call it? I don't know how you call it anymore. Oh my god. Acrylic yarn. I packed some boxes with acrylic yarn, but I'm not going to pack any box or put away a box in some storage unit with my beautiful nice yarn. Come on. That's like putting your kits in the garage. You wouldn't do that, right? Well, maybe if you have really weird or naughty kids, but other than that, they would have a room in your house, right? So, I'm not doing that. So, I'm just putting everything in my allowed boxes. And the fun thing about yarn, obviously, is that you can squish it. So if you have some more balls, you can just use your fist and like give it some bangs in your closet or whatever, and then voila, you have some more space for more yarn. And I'm totally rambling on about this, but it's an important matter, people. So never put your yarn in places it doesn't belong. Then questions and answers. I asked you last week what you would like better, if you would like me to come up with a mitten pattern or a hat pattern. I got a few votes for mittens and none for a hat, but then again, I didn't get that many votes. So if you want to say something about that or vote for that, please let me know in the comment section below, or in the Ravelry thread for this episode or last week's episode, or send me a private message, or tell me on Instagram, or whatever. You can reach me in so many ways, so just pick one that suits you and tell me. Then I didn't get any questions from you guys. If you want to ask me something, you can do that in the questions and answers thread in the Ravelry group, the Zazu podcast Ravelry group, and then I will answer them on the podcast. Whatever question you have, I will gladly answer it. Then, because I didn't get a question, I will just ask you a new question that kind of leads into the next segment, which is new. What other crafts than knitting or crocheting do you do? And if you do other crafts, would you mind sharing a picture with me and us in the Ravelry thread in the Ravelry group? I will set up a Ravelry thread for other crafts in the Ravelry group. So if you have other crafts you do, then please share your pictures in that thread. And then maybe if I see some nice things or nice ideas, I will pick out some pictures and show them in this segment in next week's episode. So please do that if you have something fun to share. Which leads into the new segment I want to try, if you like it. So please let me know if you like that. Other crafts. I also do quite some other things next to knitting. Knitting is definitely my main thing, but I do get these weird creative moods now and then I normally make these really weird things, or I use these really weird materials. I found some really funny things cleaning out the house this weekend. Some things of which I thought, what the hell were you thinking? What was this supposed to be? What would you want to use this for? I just don't know, you guys. They were really, really weird things. Things I made with paper, some kind of paper mache thing, but it didn't really work out. And then I thought I could rework something around it and just kept it. And the weirdest things, you guys. So I threw out quite a bit of those things, but there are also some things that, well, might not be executed that well, but the idea is nice. So I am going to, if you guys like that, show you another crafty thing each week and tell you how I made it and what the idea was around it, and maybe sometimes what it should have looked like instead of what it looks like, but I don't know. I just thought that would be maybe nice and inspiring, or I don't know. So this is the thing of this week, and I don't even know what I should call it. I don't know. I think I will call it my newspaper bowl, but it's not really a bowl, but I will just show you. Is this thing, and I made it with newspaper, and it has a lid, and then you can put stuff in it, obviously. So this is the lid, and it's a little bit weird shaped. This reminds me of a Vietnamese hat or something, but then way smaller. You can put it on your head. It kind of it's a little bit weird, but we do use this to keep coins or like small bits and bobs you just have in the house. I don't know, when a button falls off your jacket and you have to place it somewhere for the meantime, or I don't know, small things you have to keep, business card from someone, or I don't know. So I made this using newspaper, as I said, and what I did was, if you have the newspaper fold, just cut in the middle, and then you have all these loose sheets, I guess. And then I use a really thin knitting needle, of course, a normal one, not a circular one, but the normal long ones, to roll it around. Just put a little bit of, I don't know, roll it on the knitting needle, and then when you get to the end and you only have a small square left, put a little bit of glue on that and just, I don't know, fold it over and make it stick. Then when you make a lot of those, I don't know how you call them, it's just rolled papers, then you flatten them. No, you don't flatten them. You don't flatten them before you stick them in each other. The fun thing is when you roll them, one side will be a little bit bigger than the other, so you will get a little bit of a shape like that. So the next one with the point on the top will fit in the old one. So you can make a really long tube, actually. When you do that, or when you made the tube, or the first part of the tube, because you don't have to stick them all in once, you can just do that when you go. You flatten them at the point. And then you start rolling them just on the table, flat. So you get this. So this was the starting point where I started rolling, and I just did that flat and made the circle you see here, but then flat on the table. And then while you're doing that, you're putting some glue on the inside of the bowl. And you can see that it's a little bit different colored, which is because of the glue. And then you just pull every edge a little bit up. So the flat circle you made, you're going to just push the inside out more and more from the inside. So you're pushing this, and then you will get the depth this has. And then in the end, you just put a lot of glue in it. So you get your glue bottle and just go all around it, and then use a brush to evenly distribute the glue and make sure it's all around and between all gaps and stuff. And then you get this. And then I just did the same thing with the other half, but I just made the other half a tiny bit smaller so it would fit in this one, in the edge that's standing up on this one. And then you have a, I don't know, a bowl with a lid. I don't know how you would call this, but and I'm not saying this is executed really well, but I do think you could make really fun things with this. If you would make the circle a lot bigger, you could make really nice bowls with this and use them for yarn. So that's my weird project of this week, and well, it's just an idea to put your old newspapers to use, and you could toy around with different colors and stuff. Maybe you have, this is a pinkish newspaper, but we also have the normal white grayish ones, and I think if you would make tubes, for instance, from each of the two colors, and like, well, pick the pink one and then the white or grayish one and then a pink one, then maybe you would get some nice stripy effect. I don't know, but you could do that. So this was this week's weird crafty project. I would love to hear, as I already said, what you guys do next to knitting, so please post that in the other crafts thread in the Ravelry group. Then I will go on to my shop update. If you're not interested in this segment, then I wish you a very nice week and hope to see you next week. And if you are, then stick around. I did finally get to dye some. So, as I already showed you, I dyed up some skeins in the Fox in the Woods colorway. And again, it's pretty washed out. It's not as vibrant as it should be, but I just can't really help that. It's I don't know. But this is it, and that's available in the shop. It's a sock base, so it's 75% merino wool and 25% nylon. And I love it. I think this is, sorry, I don't know. This is my favorite colorway. I think it's so fall-y, and I really like the way it knits up. So that's that. I also dyed up some 50 Shades of Brown, which is the colorway you've seen before, which I knit my Viajante shawl out of. And again, I don't know how to pronounce that pattern name, but you know what I mean. And this is the colorway I knit that out of. And I'm actually planning to do some more with this colorway, I guess. I'm not sure yet, but it's just a really, really nice color to go with whatever. It goes really well with black, but it also goes really well with blue or red. So it's I don't know, it's a really, really nice base color you can use with whatever other yarn. As you can see, this is blue. You can really use this with blue. But you could also, and I don't have anything black here, but you can use this with black as well, and with red tones, as you can see. So it just blends in with whatever color you put next to it. So I have that in the shop also. And then I was experimenting, as you do, and I was actually experimenting to make a nice Christmas colorway, and this is what came out. And I don't really think this is a Christmas colorway, although it could. So I'm not sure what I'm naming it yet, but I did like what came out of my dye pots. So this is what it's like, or what it is. And it's a really, really vibrant pink with a really nice green, I think. And then one splash of white in the middle. You can see that. It's and unfortunately the colors are way off. The green looks almost gray on the screen, while it's a pretty happy green. It's not that dark. It's a, I don't know, it's a really fun sunny green, and not as dark as you can see that. And the pink is, I don't know, is a little bit different as well. So I guess I will just have to refer you to my shop for that. I don't know. But I don't know what this is called yet. I still have to wrap my brain around it. So when I think of a name, it will be in the shop. It's not in the shop right now. The other ones are. But as soon as I think of a name, it will be in the shop. So if it's not there yet, check in my shop, and you have a nice suggestion for the name, please send me a message. That's that for the shop. I will be dyeing some new stuff this week, because this week finally is the first week again where I have my normal schedule again. So this Friday I will be dyeing up some new stuff, and we'll have to see what that will be. I will try my hand at dyeing a Christmas color again, and then come up with something I do think is Christmassy. Although I don't really think this is not Christmassy, but I could also imagine that this would be, I don't know. I just don't know. But I do really like what came out, so I might keep this cane for myself. I don't know. But that's that. I don't really have any other things to show you or to tell you. Please get in touch with me and the other viewers of the podcast in the Ravelry group, or by PMing, or through Instagram, or whatever channel you would like to use. I really hope you have a nice week ahead of you, and that you'll be doing some really nice stuff, as well as knitting, of course. And I hope to see you next week. Bye!